Hello, YouTube. Cal Dallas Gamer here with another Water Tank and Overwatch 2 video. What I want to discuss in this video is the subject of the role playing of tank. Now, in Water Tanks, I literally do not mind playing as a super heavy tank, especially when it's sluggish. Obviously, speed is important in the game, but when it comes to super heavy tanks that has actual armor, I honestly do not mind as long as the armor works fantastically and I can punch back even harder in return. Now, this game that you see right here, I'm playing as the Tier 11, which is brand new. Well, as of me making this video, it's no longer quote unquote new because 2.0 already came out and it's been like a month or 2 months already. So, yeah. But still, a brand new tier 11 super heavy tank, Transrate, just after the mouse. And I gotta admit, this tank is literally an upgrade version of the mouse. And what I love about this, the design of the Transrate, despite it's obviously fictional, it looks like a King Tiger 2, or basically a King Tiger on steroids. I like the design. It looks, you could tell that it's based on King Tiger, but on steroids. And most of all, the gun itself, while it's a little generic and standard for, being a high tier, I do like the fact that the gun itself, you could tell that it has improved accuracy, improved shell velocity, and the ammo, it's fantastic for using APCR round as standard and using heat shell as premium. And of course, you still use the HE shell in case like an alternative. So in other words, this tank, love it. But what's really like the key feature of this tank is the armor, and my goodness, the armor is fantastic. You truly feel like a super heavy tank. And that's something that I want to discuss in this video is discussing the role of being a tank. Obviously, I play water tanks because of the tanks themselves, and I like tanks that has actual armor. The reason why sometimes I go artillery playing SPG and of course the wheel tank, the EBR 105, is because I want to play something different once in a while. Don't get me wrong, the others are fantastic and it's the main reason why I grind them, especially the EBR 105. I like fast tanks, I like being super speedy, but I play water tanks for the sake of being tanky. And one of my favorite experience when I first started playing this game was playing the KV1. The KV1 was an easy tank to understand because of its square shape. You basically angle your tank, and when you angle it, my goodness, you will absolutely bounce so many shots like no tomorrow. Other heavy tanks like the T1, the Churchill, you can't really angle it because the side armor is very, very weak, like paper thin. And as a result, if you were to angle your tank, especially too much of it, you would get shredded. The front armor, though, it's very solid, very tanky. But the problem is, over time, water tanks they kind of change the balance of heavy tanks, and as a result, the frontal armor is less effective because they have weak spots where any enemy player that knows where to shoot weak spots, they'll just shoot it. And the most common weak spot in heavy tanks is the lower plate and the cupola. Luckily for the Transrate, the lower plate is still very solid, so the only way they could pin that is if I'm facing directly at them. But the moment I angle it, and you guys gonna notice here in this background footage, I'm trying to angle my tank properly for the lower plate to still be solid enough to bounce some shot, and it works. It absolutely works. And what's even more fantastic is because of the slope of the frontal armor, and it has this weird U shape, you could angle your tank and unlike the Defender, which has a pike nose, this tank has zero pike nose, but the frontal plate armor is sloped. So you could angle it and you will bounce shot fantastically. And this tank is truly a heavy tank, a truly super heavy tank. I've been bouncing so many shots. One time I had a game where I bounced over 12k damage, and it's absolutely fantastic. And you're gonna see towards the end of this footage that I won a lot of ribbons, and most of the ribbons and medals they were based on my tank performing of me bouncing a lot of hits. Now, when it comes to playing as the tank role, you could say I'm a little bit masochist, and I really do love tanky units. I love the fact that you're playing as a unit where you could absorb a lot of hits and punish the enemy players in return, or should I say punish enemies in general. It doesn't matter because the tank role is also included in PvE, so I'm thinking about PvE mode. You can also punish enemies in return, so I really do love the tank role. One time I was watching a video, and I'll leave a link down in the description below because this video was very fantastic. It was discussing how tank role is very underperforming and underplayed in almost every video game, including famous video game like Overwatch, League of Legends. Um, what else? Definitely World of Warcraft, and I'm also thinking other units. But yeah, overall, tank units, role playing as a tank, it's very underrated. And me personally, not to sound like a masochist, but I kind of like the ability to absorb damage and deliver it in return. In other words, a tank unit. But most video games they tend to balance it out by giving the tank unit mediocre damage and most importantly give the tank unit crowd control ability. So here in War of Tanks, the Transrate, the alpha damage is very mediocre for its tier, and the special ability is nothing new. It's more like a finisher or extra damage shots, but I still like it. But the key role of the Transrate is acting like a basically a bullet sponge. And me personally, I kind of like that. Not to sound like a masochist. And speaking of masochists, one of my frustrations, since I'm a huge Warhammer 40k fan and Warhammer Fantasy fan, is that Slanesh she does not have any tanky units, and I really wish Wargaming or tape of the studio or the company that makes Warhammer 40k stuff. I kind of wish Wargaming they add a awesome tank unit for Slanesh because most of Slanesh units they're very fast and agile, which is nothing wrong about that. It's to describe the common characteristics of Slanesh unit, which they tend to be fast, accurate, since they're perfectionists and they do a lot of critical hits. But I kind of wish, this is just my thought, I kind of wish they had a tanky units. I know they're not they don't have tanky units as Nurgle units. Nurgle they're known to be tanky, but I still kind of wish that Slanesh has a tanky units that takes very prideful of their armor and they're very perfected in their armor. And then if you guys get the idea, but that's just my little wish. But anyway, going back to the subject of the video, so eventually after the footage of War Tanks, you're gonna see me playing Overwatch 2 as Reinhardt. Yes, I got back into Overwatch. And me, I still enjoy playing Reinhardt. The reason why I love playing Reinhardt is because, in comparison with other tanks in Overwatch 2, Reinhardt, in my opinion, is the tank. He's the tankiest of all tank, and he's kind of reliable. The reason why Reinhardt is severely underrated is because if you think about his kit, it's kind of boring, and his kit revolves around basically crowd control and not really being a damage dealer. The other tanks, they're more like a damage dealer, especially Diva and Junker Queen. Oh, and Roadhog. So Diva, Junker Queen, and Roadhog, they're all tanks, but they're a little bit on the damage dealer side. That's why Roadhog is very popular, especially in solo queue. And Junker Queen is also popular, but that's in higher level in solo queue. Me personally, I love Junker Queen because it reminds me of Reaper, and Reaper, just like Junker Queen, or should I say the other way around, Junker Queen, just like Reaper, when she deals damage, she could heal herself. I repeat, when she deals damage, she could heal herself, and the damage she deals is fantastic. And because she's a tank, her survivability is very high. And thanks to the new perk system, some of her abilities to regenerate becomes even more better and enhanced. And on top of that, thanks to the perk ability, Her shouting ability, where it gives your teammates buffs, it becomes even more enhanced, where now the teammates, they could reload and shoot faster than ever. So that makes her shouting ability even more viable during team fights. And me, I love Junker Queen because of that. But overall, I still love Reinhardt, because Reinhardt, in my opinion, he is the tank. And once again, he's the tankiest of tank. His shield obviously is huge because it provides cover for your teammates. And you, as a tank, you're supposed to be a little bit like a masochist. I know I keep throwing the word masochist around. In case of you guys don't know what the meaning of the word masochist is, it means a person who likes receiving pain. So you, as a player, being a tank player, you have to be kind of like a masochist. You enjoy receiving damage, enjoy receiving pain. And here in the gameplay footage, I'm playing as Reinhardt. I'm purposely absorbing damage using my shield. And of course, Reinhardt, he has very high health and armor. I repeat, armor. Matter of fact, I think he has the most armor out of all tanks in the game. I could be wrong, but I'll double check on that. But his shield is fantastic for team fights because it provides cover for his team. As you can see, I'm trying to provide cover for Bastion because you guys seen that. And almost all of his ability revolves around crowd control, especially his ultimate. His ultimate does stun. It is counterable, like you could counter his stun ultimate, but when it lands and when it hits a bunch of people, oh, it's a perfect setup for a team wipe. And this is one of the reasons why I like Reinhardt, because he's basically the tank, and his ability sets up for his own teammates for success. But the problem is, of course, it's a team game, so it requires your teammates to play their part. So here I'm doing my best. We end up winning in this gameplay footage. So the reason why we end up winning is because I played my part. I did have to switch, sadly, just for us to win a little bit better. But I'll make another video about Junker Queen. But anyway, what I want to discuss, guys, and sorry I'm going all over the place, is my enjoyment of playing tank. Tank is a very underrated role, and the reason why it's very underrated is because majority of people, they prefer to be a damage dealer. They prefer to get a lot of kills. In War of Tanks, right now the most popular thing in War of Tanks is tanks with high alpha damage, because it gives people that, burst of dopamine. Same thing in Overwatch. People prefer to play as DPS because when you get kills, when you slaughter the entire team, it gives you a high dopamine. And of course, support class. When people want to help out their teammates, support class is very popular because of that reason. But of course, tanks is very underrated, and reason why it's underrated is because it's not about helping your team. It is about helping your team out, but not in a way like the support does. It helps your team out through setups and being the vanguard, being the leader of the team, and of course absorbing damage for your team. So you're looking out for your team, you're absorbing damage for your team, and you're providing a setup through crowd control for your team. And that's why tanks is very underrated, not just in Overwatch, but in many other video games. And me personally, I like playing tank because I like the ability to absorb damage, survive it, and basically deal damage in return, crowd control, and protecting the team. So you could say that I enjoy being a warden, if that makes any sense. And I do like a defensive role. Sometimes I like the defensive role. I do like to go a little berserk, and that's another reason why I like Reinhardt, because his kit, it does provide him the berserk, especially the charge. The charge mechanic is fantastic and one shots a lot of people. But yeah, so yeah, that's why I enjoy playing as a tank. Well, guys, I'm gonna end it here because I feel like I ranted enough. So please leave a like and subscribe, all that stuff, and leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially with the role of tanks. Well, guys, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Caldalis Gamer, over and out.